Eeveelutions. Everyone loves them, and if you don't love them as a whole, then you gotta love at least one of them. Cause these are 8 different Pokemon with simple and fantastic design choices that are for the most part fun to use. And considering how cute Eevee is, and how many evolutions it has, there's no way that you don't like all of them. In fact, most people love all of them, and have been begging Gamefreak to make more of them. 10 more to be exact, as there are 18 different typings in the game, and seeing how Eevee's already gotten evolutions for 8 of them, it's giving me the perfect number for a top 10 list. And it's a good time for an Eeveelution video as well, as Pokemon Sword and Shield are on their way, and seeing as how we seem to be getting evolutions for every even number generation, Generation 8 is the perfect time for us to get 1, or 2, or maybe a few new Eeveelutions. And I think there's a certain type that's pretty much guaranteed for an Eeveelution, but we'll save that for the end. For now, let's just get started with the list. Number 10. It's a common trend for Pokemon games to start off with the Rock-type gym leader, and with this list, we're starting off with the Rock-type Eeveelution. Now, not all Eeveelutions need to be cute or anything, but the closest Rock types we have to adorable are Corsola and Carbink. Most of them are really tough and jagged looking, but this evolution by Fright Fox really nails it for me. Not only did they manage to make a Rock-type evolution look very appealing, but they also managed to show off its Rock typing in a very simple yet effective way. Its body color is reminiscent of the Rock type, and the rocks and gemstones on its body stand out while looking like very natural additions to the Pokemon. I think leveling up Eevee while letting it hold a Dawnstone or any one of the evolutionary stones will be a unique way to make use of items that we already have. It showed that Eevee's kind of merged with the stone rather than take on its properties. For a name, I think Minerleon will be pretty fitting. Number 9. Usually when Poketubers have a Pokemon or a Fakemon in the thumbnail, you can expect it to be somewhat high up there on the list. But as much as I love this Bug-type evolution by Tamarin Frog, the Bug typing is something I don't see Eevee evolving into just yet. Maybe in Generation 10, but there are a few more types that are just more fitting for Eevee to evolve into right now. And not to mention how hard it will be to come up with an insect or bug-like evolution for this Pokemon. That's why I appreciate this evolution so much. It blends in its insect-like features while keeping its mammalian features intact. Tamarin has named it Lipedion, as Lepidoptera is a large order of insects that includes moths and butterflies, and it's very fitting as Lipedion is based off the Luna moth, and above all, it kinda gives me Espeon vibes. And seeing how Espeon is one of, if not my favorite evolution, you know that I'm definitely a fan of this one. Number 8. A lot of people are expecting Eevee to not get a normal type evolution, but you gotta think, if its DNA and genes became stable, wouldn't it evolve into another Pokemon? I think once you've stabilized it, Eevee will have the potential of evolving naturally into a normal type evolution. Just cause it's normal doesn't mean that it has to be bad. I really like this evolution made by Kachomon. It just looks like a more mature and adult version of Eevee. Its fur became longer and more elegant, which is a great touch. But if you like Eevee, I can't see how you wouldn't like this Pokemon. I'd let it evolve using an item called the Gene Stabilizer, so that it could stabilize Eevee's genes, obviously. And after doing so, I'd let it evolve past a certain level, maybe somewhere from level 20 to level 30. The name that Kachomon gave it is also a nice touch, as Nomion is a palindrome, just like Eevee, which is something I'd expect from a pure evolution of Eevee. And while I do think that Eevee will get a normal type evolution, I do think that will be the final evolution, or maybe even a mega evolution. The only reason why I have it here at number 8 was to surprise you guys with number 10 and number 9. Hope you guys were surprised. Number 7. A ground type design for Eevee is rather hard since a lot of ground type Pokemon are rock types. It's hard to separate the two typings in the real world, and it remains just as hard in the Pokemon world. However, certain Pokemon like Drillbur are based off animals like a mole, which makes it pretty obvious that they're a ground type Pokemon. So why not do the same thing for Eevee? Just like Drillbur and Excadrill, this ground type evolution made by Shiny Gaza is based off of a mole. And since moles bore into the ground, we have Boreon. I really like this design, cause aside from the bug type evolutions, I haven't really seen many artists take features of other animals and implement it with Eevee so well. And it also says it's a ground type evolution, just by looking at its design alone. A very fitting way to evolve it would be to have Eevee use Dig and level it up while it's still underground. You'd have to knock your opponent off with status or in a double battle or something, and you'd have to be precise with the experience. But as tedious as it may sound, I think it'd be pretty fun and rewarding to pull off. Number 6. The fighting type causes quite a dilemma for Eevee. Our only real quadruped fighting types are the Swords of Justice, but it's evident that they're fighting type Pokemon cause they're a quartet, a group of fighting type Pokemon. As long as you remember that they're part of the group, you know they're fighting type Pokemon. For an Eeveelution though, it becomes a bit difficult to create a natural looking Pokemon, cause without hands, how can you create a fighter? Well, this Eeveelution made by an unknown artist gets the job done for me. While other designs change Eevee's ears into arms, and that does make the fighting aspect of the Pokemon very apparent, I think it just makes the Pokemon look very off-putting. For me, a straightforward design like this one, with a bandaged scarf and some gloves or boots, makes the Pokemon look super cool, while making it apparent that it's a fighter. I know that Champion is a very popular name for a fighting type Eeveelution, and it's pretty much a perfect name for it. But I gotta admit, Brawleon is also a pretty cool one. To evolve Eevee into Champion, I think leveling up Eevee while it has 1 hit point left will be a great way to show its fighter's will, and thus evolving it into Champion. Number 5. Now since Sylveon came alone in Generation 6, a lot of people are saying that there needs to be an evolution that's either strong or weak against Sylveon, so it can be paired up with another evolution. And even though Poison is a good candidate for this, I don't think it's a likely type for an evolution as much as some of the others, though I do think it has a better chance than Bug in fighting for sure. This design for a Poison type evolution, made by an unknown artist, is among the most popular fan-made evolutions on the internet, and it makes sense as to why it's so popular. It kinda looks like a corrupt version of Eevee with toxic gases spewing out of its neck. I really like its design, but I don't have much more to say about it. It's not over the top, it's cool, and could evolve by leveling up while being badly poisoned. It may be too simple of a way to evolve, so maybe while being poisoned in a certain environment, like a sewer or something. Toxia might be the most basic of the basic names, but you can't lie, it sounds pretty good. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? Number 4. Cruel memes aside, I think a ghost type evolution is something many of us desperately want to see, but that more than likely gets things for Eevee to be pretty morbid. However, this is Pokemon, so Pokemon don't die, or so they say they don't, but they do faint, and as dark as it may be, it'll be a missed opportunity for Pokemon to not have Eevee evolve while it's fainted. Of course, there are the mandatory ghost sections of every Pokemon game that it can evolve in, but that's pretty boring. The only real way I can see its evolution working is by using a rare candy on a fainted Eevee. This way, as it gains HP with the rare candy, it's almost as if Eevee is coming back from the dead. And with a design like GlitchxCity's Eeveelution, it'll definitely give the vibes of a spirit coming back to life, but while giving it a stable physical form to show that it didn't actually die, just left the world and came back. Maybe even giving it the ability to go between the living and dead worlds. Glitched Mew also called this design Fanteon, and I'd say that it's a great name, one that I hope becomes the real name for the ghost type Eeveelution. Number 3. Even though flying doesn't have any real relation to the fairy type, I really want to see a flying type Eeveelution, and that's mainly because of the lack of pure flying type Pokemon, with their only Pokemon of that typing being Tornadus. I am hoping that Gamefreak make more pure flying type Pokemon, and some that aren't legendaries. But if we can get Eevee to evolve into every type, then we're guaranteed a regular, pure flying type Pokemon. As much as I'd really like to see wings on this Pokemon, this design by Nige really sold it for me. It's adorable and looks like it's got a little bit of sass to it, and really looks quite elegant, as if it can take flight at any time. I also always imagined the flying type Eeveelution to be the smallest of the bunch to give it that floaty feel, and this design definitely takes care of that. If you ask me, Zephyrion is a good choice for a name. Maybe having Eevee level up in the back of a sky battle, or leveling up while holding an air balloon is what will allow it to take flight and evolve into Zephyrion. Number 2. Between the two most possible, and maybe even popular types for an Eeveelution, I've decided to keep the Steel typing as a runner-up, for reasons that I'll explain later. But the Steel typing is definitely a type that we can see for an Eeveelution in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Not only is the region more industrial and seems to have a focus on Steel, but the names of the games themselves are Sword and Shield, So this is almost looking like a perfect generation for Eevee to turn into a steel type, especially if you're trying to find a Pokemon for Sylveon to pair up with. If we do get 2 or 3 evolutions in this generation, then I think this steel type will make it in for sure. This steel type evolution is among my favorite fan-made evolutions, period. This thing just looks like a bigger Eevee coated in some sleek looking metal. The added spikes and metal balls are a nice touch, and I definitely appreciate the touch of orange and yellow to the design as well. The artist's signature is on the work, but I can't really read it, and I can't seem to find the artist on Google myself, so if any of you guys know who made this evolution, as well as the others that we don't have artists for, be sure to let me know, and I'll credit them in the description. The name Adamantium might be suitable for a rock type as well, but I think it suits the steel type more. Also, the name could be a nice nod to Wolverine as well. Even though trade evolutions do suck, I can definitely see this thing evolving by trading while holding the metal coat. And trade evolutions might just work with our next evolution as well. Number 1. Without a doubt, the very next evolution has to be a dragon type. Why? Well, there's actually another pattern involving the evolutions that you may not have noticed. And that's that all the evolutions we've received so far are of typings that are special oriented. Not only are these types more special than physical in their stats, but before the physical and special split, these types were all made to be special moves. And among the special types, Dragon is the only one left remaining. Also, Dragon's a perfect parallel to the fairy type, so we take care of a Sylveon issue with that as well. Now you can get very creative with the Dragon type design for Eevee, but I decided that Bedrafa's Dragon type evolution was the most organic one. It remains to be pretty simple looking, while having the threatening dragon appearance. It doesn't have wings, and doesn't need to have wings. Its colors, tail, and ears all speak for its typing. I can definitely see this Pokemon being a part of some medieval fairy tale, or something of the sorts. It just looks like a Pokemon that would fit in that medieval age. I mentioned trade evolutions earlier, so trading Eevee while holding the dragon skill could work pretty well here. For a name, I'd have to go with Drakeon. Scaleon is the original name of this Pokemon, but in the English versions, every evolution starts with a different letter of the alphabet, and I've been trying to maintain that trend with this list. So, since we already have Sylveon who starts with S, we're naming this thing Drakeon, which is a pretty cool name anyways. Now, I'd definitely like to see more than one evolution, and honestly, if we do get more than one, I can see us getting 3 just to introduce us to the physical oriented evolutions. Since Eevee has become the secondary mascot of the series, hopefully we do get more evolutions for this lovable little enigma. But if you ask me, the Dragon type evolution is almost a guarantee for Sword and Shield. But as always, be sure to keep your expectations low and your hopes high. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to hit punch the like button if you enjoyed the video, and hit that dislike button if you didn't. Let me know how you feel. Comment down below your thoughts and opinions. What did you think of this video? And do you think we'll see new evolutions in Pokemon Sword and Shield? If so, which ones? Be sure to let me know. Share the video around if you want help with the channel. And finally, subscribe and hit the little bell icon if you want to stay up to date with all my content. Take care of yourselves, have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video, alright? Later!